Hey y'all, it's Wendy from Village Card and Craft. Today we are going to do a really fun Disney-inspired mixed media Mickey Christmas card. Let's get crafting. Today I'm using one of my new embossing folders by Tim Holtz called Pine Branches. It is awesome, and some cardstock in white, red, and green, along with Versamark sticky ink and gold embossing powder. I'm going to start by inking up my embossing folder. Now this does no harm to your embossing folder whatsoever, but I am going to ink up the top portion, which is the part that has the image that's cut into it, not the raised image. I want the flat part of my embossing folder to end up being gold, not the branches. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and run my embossing folder through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. When you remove your cardstock from your embossing folder, be careful with where you handle that cardstock. You don't want to remove any of the ink because that's where your embossing powder is going to stick. I'm just using a scrap piece of paper and I'm going to completely cover my cardstock in that superfine gold embossing powder. I'm going to tap off the excess powder and then I'm going to put that back into my little jar. Don't be like me, I totally missed and, well, it kind of landed everywhere, but that's okay. We make do with what we've got. A great tip is to make sure that when you're embossing, you heat up your embossing gun. Now I'm using the WOW embossing gun, which has two heat settings, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is for drying. Number 2 is for melting. So I'm going to place this on number 2, get that heated up, and start to melt down my embossing powders. I'm going to lift up my cardstock with the aid of some tweezers and keep that embossing tool moving. As it starts to heat up, it starts to melt, and it is magic. I just love to watch the melting embossing powder, I'm not going to lie. It's the little joys in life, what can I say? If you keep your cardstock lifted off of your work surface, the heat from the heat gun will go right through your cardstock and it will melt quickly without warping as much as it would as if you held it down on a flat surface. If you find this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, please give me some pixie dust by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. Once your embossing powder is completely melted, you want to let that kind of cool off for just a couple of minutes. Don't stick your hands on it. It will burn you. Now I don't have very many punches, but this happens to be one of my favorite because I get loads of Mickey heads in all different sizes and, well, one punch and I get lots of stuff. So I am using this. It is by EK Success and I purchased it through Joann's, but it's available at other retailers as well. I've gone ahead and used that punch to cut out green Mickey heads as well as red Mickey heads. And I'm going to separate those out onto my mixed media silicone craft mat. I have also used a Momenta alphabet die that was in my stash and I'm going to cut out, I think 6 or 9 H's in both green and red because I'm going to be writing ho 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 on each card. You don't have to have an alphabet die set. If you don't have one, use stickers. Cut them out of cardstock freehand. Use whatever you have. It's time to color the branches. So I'm using Distress Oxide ink in Rustic Wilderness. I've only chosen to use one color of ink, and I'm just going to use pressure to create dimension there. A quick tip is to use the lid of your ink container to hold down your cardstock. That way you're not wasting tape. Your embossing powder acts as a resist, so wherever the embossing powder is, your ink won't stick. So I'm just using a dry paper towel and rubbing over my entire cardstock to get off the residual ink. A quick tidy up with a water mister and that same paper towel, and I'm ready to go for the next step. I have been dying to try Distress Grit Paste, and I finally got some, and this one is Snowfall. It is amazing, y'all. It does awesome stuff for snowbanks and anything you want that gritty texture for. My first card, I am going to mix my grit paste with some Hobby Lobby Opal Glitter Medium. So I'm just going to place, using a palette knife, just a little bit of my Snowfall grit paste down onto my mixed media mat. And I'm going to go ahead and add some Opal Glitter Medium. Now, I'm finding from a lot of different viewers that you can't find this anymore at Hobby Lobby, but don't distress because there are other things that you can do. With different modeling paste, stencil butters, glitter mediums, whatever you have, you don't want it to dry out. So my best friend is Press and Seal. And y'all, I scoop that stuff up during the holiday season when it's buy one, get one free at my grocery store because, well, I get a greater price that way. And I kind of get one for the kitchen and one for my craft room. It's a win-win. Once I've mixed up my glitter and my grit paste, I go ahead and I just use my craft knife and slather it over my branches wherever I want that three-dimensional look. I spread it out thinner where I want it to be thinner, and I leave it nice and chunky where I want to get that snowfall look on my branches. Now, here in Central Florida, we don't get snow. So it's what I see in my mind's eye that I'm creating on paper. Once I've used up all that delicious snowfall grit paste, I just go ahead and I set my cardstock aside to dry. Now, it could take a couple of hours. I chose to leave this overnight and come back to my crafting the next day. So this does give you an opportunity to make multiple card fronts like this and then just leave them. Please make sure that you are cleaning up your work surface as you go. Don't let grit paste, modeling paste, stencil butters dry on any surface because it is like concrete and doesn't want to come off. So clean as you go. Okay, it's the next day and our panels are dry. So I have some A2 size card bases, which are 5.5 by 4.25. And I have a green backer that I cut down 1/4 inch on all sides. And here are my panels that I'm ready to decorate. I'm using my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut down my front card panel to 3 3/4 inches by 5. I am using my trusty Barely Art Precision Craft Glue that I desperately need to fill the bottle on. Y'all, I love this stuff. This is my absolute favorite. I am going to adhere my top card panel down to my green panel. And I do like my cards to get added dimension by adding that extra piece of cardstock behind it. It also gives my cardstock weight. I'll use some of my acrylic craft blocks for my stamps to hold down the cardstock. Now, because it has so much texture, it does need a little bit of weight to hold it down to get the glue to adhere, but it's not going anywhere once it does. So there is a slight difference in both of these card fronts. One, I used the grit paste and the opal medium. That has more of a green cast. And then the other one, I actually did a lighter dusting of the embossing powder, so it's kind of speckly and not so solid, along with the grit paste and white glitter. I just applied the grit paste directly onto the cardstock, and then I sprinkled the whole card front with glitter. It comes off a little bit once it's dry. You could use some hairspray to create a fixative. I'm not that industrious, so I think everybody should have a little glitter on them. I decided to leave in my creative process, how I go about getting my layout design. So I've got all of these H's and Mickey heads cut. I need to decide, do I want them straight up and down? Do I want them kind of wonky? Do I want red, green, red? Do I want the H different from a different color from the Mickey head? Whatever you want goes here. But I decided to go with wonky. And the reason that I went with wonky was because to me, Disney is about childhood wonder. It's about being whimsical and having fun. And, well, things being a little off kilter, well, that works for me. So that's what I went with. I decided that I didn't have enough of the right size Mickey head, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out one more punch of the green and one more punch of the red. Small things amuse me, so I get a lot of joy out of just watching the Mickey heads come popping out of that punch. Once I have my layout decided, I go ahead and I use my super sharp tweezers and my trusty glue to go ahead and glue those H's and Mickey heads down. Time to pop my panel onto my card base. Now, always check your card base is opening the way that you want to. I can speak from experience when I have glued on my card panel and it's the wrong direction. So, double check yourself. So my final reveal ends up just a little bit different because as I was completing this video, I decided I needed something else. And I actually created a Mickey and a mini card. So I did a little mix up and I looked through my stash for a little teeny tiny bow, which I found in one of my die cuts. I cut them out 3 times and I made a mini card so that they match my ears. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, if you found any value, I would sincerely appreciate a thumbs up. It totally helps the algorithm, helps my channel, and helps you to get the proper videos that you really enjoy. And if you would be so kind as to hit that subscribe button, I would love to have you in my community. Here's a final look at the last 2 cards. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you real soon.